Republican lawmakers are preparing to welcome Donald Trump to Washington tomorrow, including some who have had a rather testy relationship with the former president. Among them, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who hasn't spoken to Trump since the January 6th insurrection. Listen to this.
Do you plan to confront any of the bad blood between the two of you or any of the issues you had, including over January 6th?
You know, I said 3 years ago, right after the Capitol was attacked, that I would support our nominee, regardless of who it was, including him. I've said earlier this year, I support him. He's been earned the nomination by the voters all across the country. And of course, I'll be at the meeting tomorrow.
And joining us now to discuss what's going on, the former Republican Congressman Charlie Dent and CNN political commentator Bakari Sellers. Charlie, first to you. Trump, as you know, has repeatedly insulted Mitch McConnell many times since the January 6th attack. Let's roll the tape. Listen to this.
Mitch McConnell is a loser.
We do have to do something about Mitch McConnell. He's a disaster. These Washington Republicans like Mitch McConnell is the absolute worst.
I had to fight Mitch McConnell, another beauty.
Mitch McConnell and his wife, Coco Chow. Coco. We got to get the McConnells of the world to do their job.
Yet despite all of that, the senator is now falling in line for tomorrow's meeting. What does that say to you about Trump's consolidation of power within the GOP?
Well, he certainly has consolidated power within the GOP, Wolf, to be sure. But this meeting is going to be very awkward. Not only has Donald Trump insulted Mitch McConnell, but also his wife. There will also be several senators potentially in that meeting, a few senators who voted to convict Donald Trump in the impeachment. Todd Young has also been critical of him. So I think it's going to be a very awkward meeting. I would really hope that one of the senators takes Donald Trump to task over his daughter-in-law, who should have been frog-marched out of the Republican National Committee for the terrible things she said about Larry Hogan, a very credible, thoughtful candidate in a deep blue state. It shows, they're talking about unity, but then all you hear are Donald Trump and his family members insulting Republicans who don't fall in line the way they would like, even in the deepest of blue districts or states. So this will be a very weird situation tomorrow. I don't know how candid they are going to get with him, but there's a lot of work to do to bring together a very divided party, particularly in the Senate. I get it, it's not evenly divided, but it is still divided nonetheless, and they have a lot of work to do if they hope to unify this party.
Yeah, Larry Hogan, the former Republican governor of Maryland, running for the Senate from Maryland right now. Bakari, Senator Mitch McConnell is stepping down from leadership in November. He's nearing the end of his career, clearly. So what does he get by saying he supports Trump?
Absolutely nothing, because we all know Donald Trump well enough to know that as soon as this meeting is over, he's going to go out and humiliate Mitch McConnell again. Personally, Wolf, and I would say this to you and Charlie and whomever in the green room, but I think it bears repeating on national TV. If somebody insults my wife, that should be a red line. There's no politics that could make me then come and coddle the individual that insults my wife and calling her out of her name and using racial epithets or stereotypes. And the problem that we have with Donald Trump in this country is not a Democrat or Republican one, as much as it is the fact that people like Mitch McConnell refuse to stand up to individuals who act childish in our American political system. But one day there's going to be a book written about how Donald Trump made men like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and now Mitch McConnell just kind of melt like putty in his hands. Tomorrow will be an awkward meeting, but at the end of the day, this cancer that is Donald Trump and the Republican Party, unfortunately for Charlie Dent and others, is going to metastasize and be there for a very, very long period of time.
Charlie, tomorrow's trip by Trump to here in Washington will mark the first time that Trump's been up on Capitol Hill since the January 6th insurrection. But are Republicans mostly brushing that history aside?
Well, like I said, this is going to be a terribly awkward meeting. You talk to a lot of Republicans privately. They wish Donald Trump would go away. They don't like him as their standard bearer. They know he comes to the table with a lot of liabilities, not the least of which is that he was just convicted. And of course, the January 6th, his role in January 6th. which was a dereliction of duty. So I don't know that many members are going to confront Donald Trump directly. I don't think so. They are going to try to talk about unity, but we cannot cloak the fact that this party is so significantly divided, even though it's not evenly divided. What is Trump going to do to reach out to the Nikki Haley voter in this meeting tomorrow? Is he going to do anything? They'll talk unity for a few minutes, then he'll go back out and he'll make these kinds of insulting comments against McConnell and anybody else who displeases him for just about any reason. So I am not optimistic right now that anything is really going to come of this. They might actually talk about some policy. How are they going to deal with the expiring tax cuts from 2017? They might talk about the border. They'll probably talk about those sorts of issues where they might find common ground, but don't expect a whole lot of confrontation tomorrow.
Interesting. Bakari, Senator Romney told CNN he's going to have to miss the meeting tomorrow because of a flight, and Senators Murkowski and Collins said they have conflicts as well. How do you read that?
They don't want to be there. They don't want to be in the presence of Donald Trump. And, I wish that, and I'm not just saying this because he's on the show, but I wish the Republican Party had more Charlie Dents. And regardless of what people may think, Mitch McConnell, Susan Collins, Murkowski, Charlie Dent, many others they have character. I disagree with them on policy. We probably are 180 degrees different on policy on the majority of issues, but you can actually have conversations about moving this country forward when you have men and women of great character. And I put Mitt Romney in that same category. He just doesn't want to be there. Maybe he can't be honest about not wanting to be there because of the climate that we're in. But he'll be better off for missing this hour-long meeting with Donald Trump and then having to go out and answer the questions about it.
Bakari Sellers and Charlie Dent, to both of you, thank you very much.